Okay, I'm going to show you some ways of working with the wax. I used a ladle to take some of the melted wax out of the crock pots. I put one of the brushes that was caked with wax, so it looked, something like this, stiff and hard. And I just let it sit in there for a while till it softened. So now I can actually work with the brush. I have a alcohol lamp, which we don't have enough for everybody, but if you do want to use an alcohol lamp at any point, I just wanted you to know it's here. This is one of the used masks, not a mask that we could continue to use. It was left over from last semester. A student wore it and left it behind. So I'm assuming any germs that were on it back in March when students left are long dead. So I'm just removing those elastic straps. I think I'm also going to remove this metal because I don't know what it would do. Then I can use the brush to paint onto the mask. I can see that there's gunk in this wax, which is unfortunate, but hopefully I can deal with it. Or the gunk might have been on the brush, I'm not sure. Trying to, keep the shape so it's recognizably a mask. I may change the texture. So since this wax came from that pot and I let it sit for a little while, it's warm, but it's not burning my fingers when I get it on my skin. And it's not smoking and making noxious fumes, so those are all good things. So I'm going to let that sit. And then this one, I'm going to try and dab the wax in. I'm not really brushing it, I'm just dabbing it, and I'm going to overlap my dabs a bit. This is an oil-based wax, so whenever you're working with a mold of any type that you want the wax to come out of, well, I shouldn't say mold of any type. If you're working with a plaster mold or fabric, let's say, and you want the wax to come off, you want to saturate them with water because oil and water don't mix. So this mold, since I just made it a little while ago, still has a lot of moisture in it, but I actually dampened it too, just to be on the safe side, and let the water soak into the plaster. If you paint wax onto dry plaster, it will just soak in, just suck it right in there, and it won't come off. So you will ruin your mold if you do that. So my goal is to try and get this on evenly. We'll see how I do. And yeah, I'm trying to get it on evenly, and I want to try and build it up to 1/8 of an inch thick. So you can see I'm kind of working over my pot so the drips go back into the pot. I'm working kind of quickly, but I don't have to work super quickly. I know that this wax will start to get cooler, but usually you can still work with it then. You'll see in a minute. You can also see it's a little messy. If you get wax on your clothes, it's usually best to just let it dry and then pick it out once it's cold and dry. And if it's still some in there, you can actually use a little lighter fluid, which will dissolve the wax a little bit, and sometimes that helps get it off. But in general, you want to try avoid getting the wax on your clothes. So I don't know if the inside, I don't know what I'm going to do with this piece, and I don't know if the inside is going to show, but I'm going to try and do sort of a neat job with the wax in case I decide I want this side to also be visible, like as if the piece was mounted and you could walk around it, a sculpture in the round as opposed to a relief. Doesn't matter to me how you decide to interpret it for one of your masks, for either of your masks, really. Oops, sorry, I nudged the camera. You can see it's really getting cool now, so I can really build up thickness kind of quickly. And again, I only want it to be about 1/8 of an inch, maybe even a little bit less. You can sort of tell by the color brown of the wax where it's thick and thin. It's looking pretty good. I'm going to let this sit and see if I can do this from the other side. This wax is getting quite cool, so I'm working very quickly. Cool. This one I'm going to take over to the sink. Oops. I'm going to take this one over to the sink, and I'll be back.